Hello everybody, welcome to my part 2 of my scrapbook video. Here where I left off, for the part where I was going to journal on, I actually used the centerpiece to that, in part 1, that doily that I punched out with my Sizzix, my circle die. I ended up using that to write on because it was just the right color. It was a really light tan. And to do my lines, I actually used a stencil. It's from Honeybee Stamps. It's called Shiplap Siding. I actually got it from scrapbook.com in one of my past hauls. And I used my white gel pen, my jelly roll. I normally use that actually for my coloring, but I thought I'd use it for this because I wanted it to be light. I didn't want it to stand out like a sore thumb, you know, I didn't want it to be dark. And to be honest, I absolutely hate my handwriting. My handwriting isn't like how it used to be. And so I wanted to do in white so it's still readable, but it doesn't stand out. And then I started to add my little flowers and everything around it. And that first flower actually had an extra piece I had to cut off, and then I tried to add the all the flowers from part 1 that I painted, and I think I used all but like 1 or 2 of them, so I used almost all of them. And then I almost forgot to erase the lines because I wanted to make sure I drew them in a straight line. And yeah, so I did that, and then I used my ATG gun and some art glitter glue around to make sure it would stick, and tried to get it even as possible. And I accidentally got some glue on that tag, so I glued that down and it said forever. And then the rest of the flowers, and that was one of the flowers that I fussy cut out. And there's the little doily, more flowers, and then that little diamond. I didn't end up using it because I thought, when else will I? And added the rest of the little flowers here and there, and the little leaves that I fussy cut out as well. And of course I had to add more of those tiny seashells. I love those seashells. They're just the right size for just a little embellishment. And then I added 2 tiny flowers, one of each color, on the top right of that little cluster because it needed a little something on that side. And I needed more of those little shells, so I knew I had some in there, so I took them out and added more. And so I added one on the cluster on the bottom right and on the other cluster on the bottom left. And you just had to hold it for a little bit to make sure it stuck well. And of course I needed one up there as well. And then I realized I didn't use any of the little swirls, the flat pearl swirls, so I added some of them on the bottom as well. And then I needed to do some white splatters all over, and I accidentally added a little bit too much water. It was really liquidy, so they didn't come out as white. They kind of faded in, but it worked. And then I also did little dots on the butterflies to make it look like they're fluttering their way out. Because at first I did it with the last time with the that sage green color I was doing the splatter with. I did that and it didn't show up that well, so I went back over with the white and made that little dot 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 from the butterflies, and it showed up a lot better. And I was trying to get white splatters on the colorful flowers, and so there's times I couldn't get it where I wanted it to, so I just did little dabs here and there. And I was smart. I put package over it so I wouldn't get any splatters on the picture this time. And I put a little bit of glue just on the body of the butterfly because I didn't want the wings to be glued down, so they have some dimension so it looks like they're actually flying out. I really like how that turned out. And then that petal on that flower was driving me nuts. It kept on curling down, so I had to glue that down because it was driving me nuts. And then on the top left cluster, I didn't have any of the colored splatter, so I had to try to get close to the same color as possible again. So I did 2 little dabs of that lime green again, and then I squirted some of the spa blue paint in there as well because I already had white in there, and I mixed it as good as I could. And it was close, but I think it was actually a little bit darker. Once it dried, it did look a little darker to me, and it was a little bit more on the blue than the green, but it's okay. It still worked. It's as close as I could get at the time. And so I remembered to put the package over it because if I got any splatters on there, you wouldn't be able to read my journaling. So I covered that up with some packaging and splattered it like crazy all over. You can see it getting all over the desk, which is fine. I still was able to get it off. And then I thought I was done, but since then I was trying to get the splatters off, and I used a wet wipe, and the vellum was starting to like peel off, so I stopped. I didn't want to screw up more than I already did, but I was able to get the splatters off of the photo with the wet wipe without screwing it up, scraping it. And then I got my soft matte gel. It's the Art Basics from Finnabair. It's with I think they're involved with Prima, and I love this stuff. And it's transparent and it works really well. I get a little bit of it on my brush, and then I dab it into these little pearls and just everywhere. And as it dries, the glue, you don't see the glue. And that's what I love so much about it. And the little pearls that I used, they're called mini prills, Prills, and I think I got them from Joann's a long time ago. They had like multiple different ones in multiple different colors, and this one is pearls, which I thought was perfect because that's what this picture is all about, is about the pearls. And so I had them all over the place, and I did it in like the flowers and going out a little bit, and I really loved that texture and the look to that. And so I did that everywhere in every cluster. And it looks great once it dries because you don't see the glue at all. I love it. And then I thought I was done, but even though I didn't really do any real mixed media on it, the paper was so thin that it still like warped a little. And so I got this chipboard. It's a very thin chipboard. It's from Silhouette, and it's to do thin chipboards with your silhouette, and I thought I'd use that, so I taped with my ATG gun all four sides and then a lot down the center so it would all stick well. And of course my tape ran out, and so I had to refill it. Go figure. But that was no problem, and I did a lot of strips all the way down and then tried to very carefully line it up just right, because once it's down I wouldn't be able to get it back up. So I started at one corner and tried to line it up just right, and then like another corner and even it out. And I wish I did this from the very beginning, but I thought because of not doing mixed media that I wouldn't have to, but I still end up having to. But it worked out. It was just hard because I already had all those little flowers and the little pearls that I just glued on there and everything. So they were starting to come off because of pressing on them, but it worked out. And here you can see how flat it is. It's not all bumpy anymore. So that really helped, and I like how that turned out. And then, of course, I still wasn't done. I had to get my tool out. This is one of my favorite tools. I actually got it from Prima. I looked for it for years. And, of course, when I wasn't looking, I found it on clearance at Hobby Lobby, I believe it was. I was so excited when I finally found it. I've had it for some years, but it has so many different, like, distress parts on it. Like, it has that little file which you can, like, clean and refill, and it's got like the wireness to the end, and I love all the different textures you can get from it. And of course one side ended up being a little off, so I had to trim it from that extra chipboard and distressed all four sides with my tool. I love that tool. And then it was a little harder because I had that chipboard on, which I probably should have distressed it before, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that I put it on the chipboard first before distressing it, because I think it would have just torn right apart. And then with my hand, I just kind of tore it and like distressed little spots here and there a little bit more because it needed a little bit more detail, a little bit more distress to it. And I like how that turned out. And I think it was finally done. I was finally satisfied with it. And then here's some pictures of it that I took, some little close-ups. Here you can see the little butterfly. You can see the little wings coming off, so it actually looks like it's flying off the page. And this was little cluster says, "You are beautiful inside and out." I love that saying. And here's the little flowers, and you can see the pearl color that I colored inside of that flower to match all the other flowers. And there's another one of the little butterflies. That's a little tan one. And here's a close-up to the cluster that was on the top left where I did my journaling. And the splatters. See, that color ended up being a little bit darker than the first time, but it still works. It's close enough. But I like how it turned out. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get both parts into one video, and I'm sorry it took so long, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss out on anything else. Talk to you later. Bye.